What's going on, everybody? This is Derek J407 here to give you my thoughts on New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 special in San Francisco, live from the Cow Palace in none other than San Francisco, California. That I thought, top to bottom, was a pretty damn good show, much like last year's G1 special in Long Beach. This one, of course, in a much bigger venue, that being the Cow Palace, and apparently I'm not sure if it was sold out, but they did do really good business, like I figured they would. New Japan can pack a big building. I knew that going in, so there was no doubt about that. And as for the show itself, it was great, especially the last three matches on the show, that being the Junior Heavyweight Championship match between Hiromu Takahashi and Dragon Lee, the U.S. Championship match with Jay White and Juice Robinson, and of course the main event, Cody and Kenny Omega, and plus the post-match angle that they did with the Bullet Club imploding yet reuniting all kind of at the same time kind of thing. So, great stuff at the end. Leading up to that was some pretty good stuff, but when you end it as strongly as those three matches and that post-match angle that they did at the end, and you have a great show, in my opinion. A great show that ended even better, though. But before we get all too much into that, let's just go ahead and start from the very beginning. Of course, the show was called by Jim Ross and Josh Barnett, two people who a lot of hardcore New Japan fans are not big fans of calling these shows. I think most people prefer Kevin Kelly calling these shows with pretty much anyone else. Mainly Don Callis, who he's been calling shows with regularly. But so they didn't really bother me too much. In fact, as the night went on, they really improved a lot. They were much better than they were last year, where they're just getting people's names wrong and all that kind of stuff. So big improvement from them. But the show started with a 10-man tag team match. It was the team of Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo, and of course Rocky Romero, teaming up with Gedo and Yoshihashi, taking on Yujiro Takahashi, Chase Owens, and of course members of the Bullet Club, Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga, and their father, the legendary King Haku. He was out there for this match. A pretty okay match, nothing too special about it. It was a big 10-man tag team match that opened the show. Didn't really go all that long. Haku, of course, everyone in the building was really into Haku. At one point, Gedo kind of pissed him off, and he just kind of laid him out. And then the match ended with Tama Tonga getting the pin on Gedo to win it for the Bullet Club guys. So, like I said, nothing really all that special. Just a simple 10-man tag to open the show. Up next, we had a rematch, I guess, from the Dominion show. The team of Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano against Minoru Suzuki and Zack Sabre Jr. Much like that match, the focus was all on Ishii and Suzuki, who just tore it up every single time they connected with one another. Just a bunch of stiff forearms and slaps and chops and all that kind of stuff. Of course, Zack Sabre Jr. is great, a great submission specialist, and Yano, he is a very entertaining character. But, all the focus throughout all these matches has been on Ishii and Suzuki, and that was no different here. Although, the finish did come down to Zack Sabre Jr. and Yano. Much like at Dominion, Yano attempted a low blow behind the ref's back, and much like at Dominion, Sabre blocked it with his knees. But this time, Yano was holding him, or he was holding on to it, and then Ishii came in with a clothesline that just clobbered Zack Sabre Jr., and it led to Yano cradling Sabre and getting the victory for himself and Tomohiro Ishii. So the good guys win, and I assume this is not over between Tomohiro Ishii and Minoru Suzuki. Yeah, I can watch the two of them just stiff the fuck out of each other and give each other forearms all day, pretty much. Like, very entertaining to watch. So hopefully we get to see a full-on match. I know they had a match on July 1st, but hopefully we get to see another match and another match after that, and as many matches possible between these guys. Up next, we had Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kushida taking on members of the Bullet Club, Hangman Page and Marty Scurll. Again, a pretty basic tag team match. Nothing all that special. Of course, the fans love Tanahashi, a big legend in New Japan. And of course, they were into the Bullet Club guys, especially Marty Scurll. And Hangman Page, Adam Page, who I believe, like a lot of other people do, that the dude has a lot of potential to be a huge star in pro wrestling, not just ROH and New Japan, but if he were to ever make it to WWE one day, he has potential. And he kind of showed that off in this match. Like I said, nothing really all that special, though. It was good for what it was. It wasn't achieving to be anything really spectacular. The biggest spot of the match was at one point Kushida had Adam Page in a wrist lock, and at the same time Tanahashi had Marty Scurll locked in the Texas Cloverleaf. So that was a cool dueling submission spot in the match. But in the end, Adam Page hit a backwards pile driver. It was basically a pile driver reversed on his back, like Kushida was hanging upside down from his back, and he hit him with a pile driver and got the win. If there's a name for the move, I'm sorry, but backwards pile driver was the best I could do. So Bullet Club wins again on this show, so good for them. Up next is when we start to get really good stuff. We had a never openweight championship match. Hiroki Goto defending the championship against Jeff Cobb, or as many of you Lucha Underground fans know him as the Monster Matanza Cueto. This was a really good match, really physical. You had two big guys in here just beating the shit out of each other, especially Jeff Cobb, who isn't tall, but he's a really big, brute kind of guy. But he does really spectacular things in the ring, and this was a good showcase for him to probably a new audience. Not everyone watches Lucha Underground. Not everyone realizes that's Jeff Cobb under the mask. But dude, for a big dude like himself, he can go, he can move, and he does really impressive things. And of course, Hiroki Goto is great. He's another one of those strong style guys who can work kind of stiff, but the two mesh well together. But in the end, Goto hit a reverse GTR, a reverse version of his finishing move, on Jeff Cobb to get the win. So Goto is still the champion, but it was good to see Jeff Cobb get a little spotlight, a good little chance to shine on a main wrestling program like this. So hopefully New Japan can use him again. I saw a lot of people asking, like, yeah, get this guy on more New Japan shows. I definitely second that. I want to see this guy again compete in New Japan. Next was the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. The champions, the Young Bucks, defending against Evil and Sonata in another Dominion rematch on this show. These two teams, these four guys, are incredible. They have incredible chemistry together, and I could watch a match between these two teams all day. I didn't think anything would top the Young Bucks Briscoes match from the Best in the World show a few weeks ago, but this was great too. It was, of course, you have the Young Bucks in there, so there's a bunch of super kicks and a bunch of dives. And even from Evil and Sonata, especially Sonata, who was really impressive in the match. But you're going to get all that good stuff. But things really picked up when they went to deliver a double super kick on Sonata, but he ducked, and they ended up hitting the referee. So he was out. And then Evil came in. He brought a chair in, and he was preparing. It looked like he was revving up to use it, but instead he tossed it over to, I believe it was Nick Jackson, who was in the ring. And they kind of played hot potato with the chair for a little bit. And then finally he tossed it back to Evil, and then Matt came in and hit him with a super kick to the face. Hit the super kick. He super kicked the chair into Evil's face. So I thought that was pretty good. The Young Bucks went to deliver the Meltzer driver, but I believe it was Nick who was on the apron. He got knocked off, and then they had Matt down, and then Evil and Sonata hit their own version of the Meltzer driver, but Nick came back in and blocked and interrupted the count, so it was just a near fall. Oh, and it was on a chair, by the way. Yeah, by the way, it was on a chair. But you get towards the end of the match, and we get to the finish. The Young Bucks have Evil down. Sonata tries to dive off the top rope, but he gets super kicked in midair, and then they hit the Meltzer driver on Evil and get the win. So the Young Bucks are still the heavyweight tag team champions. Second thought, this match probably wasn't as good as the match with the Briscoes. That was just an incredible match. This was a really great match, but it wasn't really much higher than that. I think their match at Dominion was probably a little bit better than this one, but still great. These two, like I said, these teams have great chemistry, and I'm happy the Young Bucks are in the heavyweight tag division because they get to mix it up with a lot of different teams now, and Evil and Sonata are a great team to pair them up with. But I assume since they won the titles from them, and now that they beat them in the rematch, we're probably going to get a break from between them for a little while. We had a 15-minute intermission on this show, and they just showed a bunch of promo videos and interviews and all that kind of stuff. I wish WWE would do intermissions on their 16-hour WrestleMania shows that they do, and SummerSlam for that matter, because I'm pretty sure that's going to be a long-ass show too. So, whatever. But after the intermission, we had another regular tag team match. Tetsuya Naito and Bushi, representing Los Ingobernables, taking on representatives of Chaos, that being Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada, I'm sorry. It's very weird seeing Okada without the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. This is one, I mean, I've seen him wrestle a few times without it, but I'm still not used to it. I mean, when you hold it for over 600 days like he did, you get used to it. So, but seeing him come out, just wearing the most random attire and just running out there and being all energetic like he was and had a fire lit under his ass. I guess that's what happens when you don't have to keep wrestling these big shows and having the entire show built around you. You get to just ease up a little bit and, just kind of go out there and have fun, especially when you got Bushi and Will Ospreay out there too. And of course Naito, Tranquilo. And, yeah, it was a simple match, but still a fun match. And, in the end, it was Will Ospreay who hit a, underhook twisting neck breaker on, Bushi to get the win for himself and, Okada. This is one of the first Okada matches I reviewed in a long time that isn't just completely detailed, but there wasn't really much to it. It was just a regular tag team match. It was not main event caliber at all. But it was fine for what it was. Next, we had the Junior Heavyweight Championship match. Hiromu Takahashi defending against Dragon Lee. We had an appearance by Daryl Jr. on this show. Of course, Takahashi's cat, his stuffed cat, Daryl, recently got married to Carol, and the two of them had a baby a kitten, I guess, and they named him Daryl Jr. He wears a mask, so that was cool. Yeah, with that out of the way, this was a fantastic match, in my opinion. Takahashi, man, I said it on Twitter and I'll say it again here. You know, names like Kenny Omega and Okada get thrown around all the time for being some of the best wrestlers in the world, at least in terms of New Japan. And somebody like Takahashi, you know, he needs to get thrown in there too. I think, you know, Naito and, you know, other people too, but Takahashi definitely. Dude, every single time I see him, whether he's wrestling Dragon Lee or Will Ospreay or anyone like that, the dude delivers. Like, he is a great wrestler, and he's in there with great people. Like I said, Dragon Lee was impressive here, and the two of them had a damn good match. Some insane moves happened in this match. Takahashi hit a senton onto Lee on the outside. There was a bunch of crazy dives and chops and all that kind of stuff. And speaking of chops, there was one point where the two of them were kind of chopping each other, and then they just started punching and slugging at each other, and then they started slapping each other. I think this came after they hit like a whole sequence of moves, and the fans gave them a standing ovation. And that little sequence of moves is something that a lot of people, either in the business or fans of the business, kind of look at like it's killing the business, because it wasn't a lot of selling. Although, I mean, hey, they hit all their moves, and then they both were laid out for like 10, 15 seconds straight. So they sold it in the end. And yeah, but apparently stuff like that kills the business, even though the business is alive and well and is evolving. It's just not evolving in the way that some people like, but it's going in that direction whether you like it or not. And it looked good here. So one of the biggest and scariest spots of not only this match but the entire show happened here. At one point, Takahashi locked Dragon Lee in the triangle choke. Lee tried to get out of it at first by hitting a power bomb, but Takahashi still kept it on. And then eventually Dragon Lee got out of it by hitting a dragon driver, is what Josh Barnett called it. But what he did was he still had him in position for almost a powerbomb-like move, because he was still in the hold, and he just kind of threw him back, but this guy landed right on his neck. Takahashi landed right on his neck. It looked absolutely brutal. It was the sickest move of the entire night, in my opinion. Well, there was one really cool spot in the main event, but this was legit scary. Well, there was also a scary spot in the main event, but this was probably scarier because it looked like this guy broke his fucking neck. But luckily he didn't. He eventually, breaking down to the finish, he hit a Canadian Destroyer, which was only good for a 2 count. I hate seeing people kick out of the Canadian Destroyer. That's just one move that people should not kick out. If you're not going to kick out of it, if that's not the finishing move, then you shouldn't hit it. And it made me even madder because immediately after, Takahashi hit him with the time bomb and got the win anyway. So it's like, why not just hit him with the Canadian Destroyer, then hit him with the time bomb, and then win like that? It's like, don't kick out of the Canadian Destroyer. I don't credit P.D. Williams for a lot of stuff, but using that move is one of the greatest finishing moves of all time. But yeah, despite that, it was still a great match. And yeah, like I said, don't sleep on Takahashi, man. Speaking of people who you should not sleep on, Jay White and Juice Robinson for the New Japan United States Championship. The story going into this match was great. You got two guys who started out as young boys in the New Japan dojo and sitting around ringside and all that kind of stuff, and worked closely together. And then eventually Jay White went off on his own, became Switchblade, and the two of them have been going back and forth over the U.S. Championship for a while now. Jay White broke Juice Robinson's hand, or at least some of his fingers, or something like that. And these two have been going at it. And the whole question was, can Juice Robinson finally win championship gold in New Japan? And that was basically the story of this match. So this is one of his last opportunities at the championship. They're in the United States, and Juice Robinson is an American. The fans are completely in love with him, and he has a broken hand heading into the match. So you can kind of guess what the outcome is going to be, but the match itself was a freaking roller coaster of emotions. The announcer said before the match started that the rules were laid down that Juice Robinson cannot use the cast on his broken hand. He can't use it as a weapon, or else he'll face some type of consequence from the referee. Of course, red shoes. So the match starts, and the two of them immediately start brawling. Juice starts throwing Jay White around ringside, but then eventually White starts to throw him around ringside, and then he just starts to beat Juice Robinson down for a good chunk of the match, all around ringside, and the referee wasn't really counting either one of them. You can say, the referee was allowing a little leeway, but this was upsetting the commentators, especially JR, and this led to one of the best moments of the entire show, in what was like the third or fourth time one of them collided with the security barricade. Jay White suplexed Juice Robinson on the security barricade, and when doing so, he knocked into the gate there, which knocked into the table that the commentators were at, and it knocked Jim Ross over, and it knocked him out of his chair, hit the ground, and Josh Barnett on commentary proclaims that you fucked up now. Those exact words. And he took the headset off, got up, and went on to confront Jay White, who was kind of taunting JR, and he confronted him, and he went around ringside. He even got in the ring and kind of chased him around a little bit. The referees and the people around ringside were trying to get him to go back over to the table. Eventually JR got back on the headset and was talking about how there's no order here, there's no enforcement of the rules and all that kind of stuff, and how it was fucking ridiculous, or he dropped some kind of F-bomb, said something of that kind. So this probably was the best the commentators were the entire night. So I thought that was really cool. It sounded like JR was legit pissed. I mean, that could have just been a spot of the match, but it sounded like he was legit pissed because the referee was not enforcing any of the rules here. You got these two guys fighting around ringside this entire time, and they're just getting away with it. So some other stuff happened. Some chairs came into play at one point. I believe it was Juice Robinson hit a Russian leg sweep off the apron onto the floor. So a lot of that good stuff. And even Jay White got spine busted onto the ring apron as well. But back in the ring, the referee, he's not knocked out, but he's kind of tucked in the corner, and Jay White hits a low blow on Juice Robinson, and then he sold that for a little while, and then with the referee still being lowered down, Juice punches Jay White with the illegal left hand, the hand with the cast on it that he wasn't supposed to use, and when he did that, he got him up and hit him with his pulp friction finishing move, and it looked like that was going to be the finish, but it was just a really close near fall. The fans were just all into it, and they just couldn't believe that wasn't the finish. I couldn't believe that was the finish. That was a perfect finish, but it was not. Jay White ended up hitting Juice with 2 half Nelson suplexes, and then when he went for his Blade Runner finishing move, Juice reversed it into a roll-up and got the 1-2-3. So Juice Robinson becomes the first American to win the New Japan United States Championship. Of course, the first champion was crowned last year, that being Kenny Omega, and then Kenny Omega lost it. Of course, Kenny Omega is a Canadian, and he lost it to Jay White, who's Australian, I believe. And Juice won it here. So I'm proud for the guy. I'm proud of him for winning championship gold in New Japan. He was in developmental in WWE for years. He was a CJ Parker in NXT and all that kind of stuff. He left because he just wasn't being used the way he thought he should be. Came over to New Japan, took a gamble on himself, became a young boy, worked in the dojo, and improved his skills to the point now where the dude is one of the best promos in the entire business, and he won his first championship in a packed house in the Cow Palace on pretty much national television. So couldn't be happier for him. I'm glad he found success. It sucks that WWE couldn't get this out of him, the charisma, the ability that he has. It's too bad they couldn't get that out of him while he was still in NXT. If we had Juice Robinson in WWE right now, he'd probably be a big star. But luckily he's here in New Japan tearing shit up, and I'm happy for him. In a few more years, he could be so big that WWE would be clamoring to get him back, just like they are with Cody Rhodes and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. But great stuff, a great feud, and just great storytelling in this entire match. And I thought it was really well done. And like I said, happy for Juice Robinson. And then the main event, Kenny Omega defending the IWGP Heavyweight Championship for the first time against fellow Bullet Club member, Cody. The Young Bucks were in Omega's corner, and of course Cody had his wife in his corner. And a big thing in this match was the two of them attempting to use weapons on one another, and the Young Bucks just disapproving. It's like, you guys want to wrestle, that's fine, but using chairs and tables and all that kind of stuff, that's just going too far. And they brought it all out. They brought tables at one point over by the security wall again. Behind it, there was a table set up, and Cody was on it, and Kenny dove off of the security wall and gave him double foot stomp onto Cody through the table. And that wasn't the last table spot of the of this match. Kenny brought out another table, a bigger table that you would see used in American wrestling, but he put Cody on it, and he was attempting to dive onto Cody, but Cody moved out of the way. Then eventually, both men brought in some more weapons. Cody brought in a chair, and Omega brought in a ladder, which got used on himself by Cody. Cody kind of body slammed him onto the ladder in the ring, and then he kind of positioned it outside the ring. It was still inside the ring, but he positioned, kind of half of it on the outside, and the two of them were trying to suplex each other onto it, but Cody ended up giving him a front suplex onto the tip of the ladder. Then one of the really cool spots of the match, Cody got the ladder and set it up in the ring, and then set up a table on the outside, the table that Kenny Omega already set up. And he put Omega on top of the table, and he was getting in the ring to try to climb the ladder. The Young Bucks, of course, were trying to stop him. He shoved, I believe it was Matt he shoved away, but he couldn't be talked out of it. So he climbs the ladder, but then during this time, Omega climbs the ladder too. So the two of them are fighting, and it looks like Omega's about to suplex him off of this is a tall ladder, by the way, so it looks like he's about to suplex him off of the ladder through the table on the outside, but luckily that did not happen for their safety. The fans were even chanting, "Please don't die," so they didn't die from that, but Cody ended up suplexing Kenny off of that ladder all the way crashing down onto the mat, which just looked absolutely brutal. Was a brutal spot, but not scary. The scary thing came later when the two of them were fighting again, and before that, the referee got knocked out for a brief moment, and Cody got the championship belt. It looked like he was gonna hit Kenny with it, but he ended up tossing it aside and hit him with the crossroads, but it was only good for a 2 count. Then Kenny Omega started hitting some V-triggers on Cody, and he was setting him up for the one-winged angel, but then Cody kind of reversed it, almost like he was about to give him a Hurricane Rana, but he put himself in a powerbomb position, and Kenny took the opportunity to powerbomb Cody out of the ring onto that table that was set up, but the table did not break. Cody just hit it and kind of slid right off of it, and that was scary. I thought he broke something, neck, back, got concussed, something, but that looked brutal. It would have been brutal had he gone through the table, but the fact that the table didn't break and he just kind of hit it and then fell to the ground, that just looked absolutely terrible. At one point, Omega was hitting a bunch of V-triggers or he was about to hit like one devastating one while Cody wasn't sitting and kneeling up against the ropes, and Brandy got in the ring. Of course, Brandy Rose, Cody's wife, she got in the ring. She tried to shield him, but the referee was telling her to get out, and the Young Bucks helped her out. At one point, I believe it was Kenny Omega who hit a underhook pile driver on Cody, but it was only good for a 2 count. But then Kenny hit one final V-trigger and then the one-winged angel. And of course, as we learned with Okada, no one kicks out of that. And Kenny Omega wins. He retains the championship in his very first title defense. It looks like the beef between himself and Cody is squashed here. The two just kind of look at each other for a brief moment, and then Cody leaves with Brandy, and Kenny cuts his usual end of the show promo and then signs off. He and the Young Bucks leave. They walk up the ramp. I was kind of worried the Bucks were going to do something to him, but that was not the case. And they got to the top of the stage, and out came the Tongans, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, and Haku, their dad. So they were all out there. They did the Too Sweet, which I thought they weren't allowed to do. I thought there was a lawsuit that said they couldn't do that. But they were all out there. They did that pose together, and then right when the Bucks and Kenny turned their backs, that's when they struck and they attacked them. They beat them down. They dragged Kenny Omega back to the ring and just beat the holy hell out of him. Matt and Nick, they both came back down. They got beat down too. And eventually other members of the Bullet Club came out. First it was Adam Page. He got beat down. Marty Scurll came out with his umbrella, but he hit, I think, Tongaloa with it and then kind of tossed it away, and then ended up getting hit with a cutter from Tama Tonga, so he was no use. Takahashi and Chase Owens, they came out there. They were confused over what was going on. They got laid out. And then when everyone was getting beat down, Cody came back out. They gave him a chair, and it looked like he was about to use it on Kenny Omega, but he ended up using it on Tongaloa, and but much like Marty, he used it once, but it wasn't enough, and he got laid out with a cutter from Tama Tonga as well. So the Tongans, the Gorillas of Destiny, and Haku stand tall over all the remaining members of the Bullet Club, and they establish themselves as the original Bullet Club members. Of course, they are, I believe it's the two of them who, along with Bad Luck Fale, who was not out there, and who was still a member of the Bullet Club as far as I know. And I'm pretty sure he was among the original members, along with Prince Devitt and Carl Anderson. But yeah, so they're basically the original guys, and they kind of established themselves as that, and they laid out everybody. During this entire segment, not the referee, the bell ringer just kept ringing the bell, just incessantly ringing the bell, which is an old school thing, and even Ring of Honor has done it before and continues to do it. We don't hear it a lot in WWE. It can be cool because it just adds to the chaos, but it did get a little excessive here because it just kept going over and over again, you know. But it added to the chaos a little bit. Then after they left, the remaining guys, they kind of stood up and gave each other a hug. Cody and Kenny hugged each other, so it looks like their beef is officially squashed now. And Kenny Omega, Cody, the Young Bucks, Adam Page, Marty Scurll, Yujiro Takahashi, and Chase Owens are all the remaining Bullet Club members, and they stood tall together. At the end, they walked up the ramp together, they posed together, and stood tall. So there was that, and that was kind of the lasting image. So whatever form of the Bullet Club is that, I mean, they stood tall. So I assume this sets up a Tama Tonga Kenny Omega championship match in the future. So that should be interesting. I'm a big fan of Tama Tonga. Of course, he is a mix of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And his motivation seems pretty clear. He was sick of the whole bickering shit and who's the leader of the Bullet Club and all that kind of stuff, back and forth with Cody and Kenny and Team Cody, Team Kenny, and all that kind of stuff. He was sick of that shit. He was just sitting in the background, not really doing much, and then finally exploded, and it came out here. So it's easy to understand why he did what he did, which is why I like this. So, like I said, a great show, but an amazing ending, in my opinion, that I did not see that coming. I did not think we were going to get that on as the ending of this show, but it was great nonetheless. And like I said, that and the main event itself was probably the best Cody Rhodes match I've ever seen him in. You had the Juice Robinson Jay White match, which was great. The Junior Heavyweight Championship match, another great one. So great stuff to end it. Overall, great show. I wanted to also mention that as this show was going on, UFC 225 was going on, and Brock Lesnar showed up I believe on camera, and I think they announced that he's gonna, I don't know if they announced anything, but I do know he was on camera. I didn't really read anything else other than that, so I'm sure by the time a lot of you listen to this, you'll probably know for sure. I'm sure I will as soon as I'm done recording, but as far as I know, Brock Lesnar was on camera, I believe, with Dana White. So there's that for you. I think he's going to be fighting in November. So there you go. But yeah, great showing for New Japan. Glad they basically sold out the Cow Palace and put on a great show. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to the G1 Climax starting next Saturday, running until August 12th. So I'll probably talk a little bit about that when that comes. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me here. Next Sunday is Extreme Rules, so keep a lookout for my review of that. Not really looking forward to that show following this one, but it is what it is. So till then, talk to you guys later.